Next slide. It's getting worse. And when we were talking the other day on the conference call, we were going through this. By this stage, I'd lost the will to live. And that's not maybe the best pun, given what happened with slavery. But honestly, at this stage, I was ready to shut the computer down and end the call. Couple of reasons. The first is the solution is slave-free trades, libertas. Now, I mentioned this at the start, this idea of a solution. There is no such thing as a solution to a wicked problem like slavery. It does not exist. There's no solution to a wicked problem like racism. There's no solution to inequality, to sexism, to so many of these things, to no deforestation, to poverty. There's things you can do to make the situation better, and we must, and that's what this is all about. And Slave-Free Trade has a very good idea about how to do that. But don't come to me offering me solutions, because then I'm feeling that you're sort of treating me like I'm ignorant or something. And that you, first out of 400 years of slavery, have finally cracked it. It's like, that's nonsense. So don't come to me telling me about solutions, because I straight away smell that I've stepped in something, right? BS. It comes across as nonsense. Now, the other aspect of this is slave-free trade is just getting off the ground. It's building a sensational, what I believe, which is why I'm on the advisory board, and I love these guys, they're building a sensational tech platform. They're calling it rights tech, tech that promotes human rights. Fantastic, but it doesn't yet exist. It's not up and running, and that's why they're coming to us for money. I mean, they say the solution is slave-free trades, libertas. Well, libertas doesn't exist. It's not up and running. So no, A, it's not a solution, and B, it doesn't exist. Parts of it exist. They're building it, and they need money to build more. But straight away, you're overselling the source. You're overselling. And I'm like, well, these guys are ridiculous. It's not happening. And it's a shame, because they're not ridiculous. They're great, passionate people. But they've not only lost me, I don't know what they're talking about, but now they're sort of trying to take me down a path which I'm feeling is wrong. And they don't do it with intent. I've had plenty of presentations sent to me where people are trying to, they're going out of their way to try and trick me into something. That's not what these people are about. These are good people. But I know those people. But what if I'm in an office somewhere else in the world and I receive this and I don't know these people? I don't know Brian. I don't know David. I don't know all the other people who work. Volunteer. They're volunteers. These are great people trying to make this thing up and running. But they've just lost me. And in capitals again, we've got the world's first end-to-end tech-enabled business and human rights performance tool. And I just happen to know that that's the vision. It's not the reality, right? We're not there yet. And apart from that, this slide is just, there's a couple of pictures and there's a whole lot of words. I'm going blurry. I don't know what they're talking about. I'm already lost. The solution is slave-free trade. Ask everyone about the conditions in real time. Take the organisation's policy, pulse, map business networks. There's a summary there. And I'm like, next slide. And then I come to the next slide. Human rights measured at last. For so long, human rights have been unquantifiable, therefore unmeasurable. Yep, I agree with that. I get that. 3 levels of detail. The proximity. So now we're going into the detail. The proximity of your relationship determines how much detail you see. What does that mean? My relationship, the proximity of my relationship to who? And where am I going to see that? Is it on the platform? Is that what they mean? I don't know. So it's got detail, scores for all questions across all principles and work sites. What principles? What work sites? It's the first time they've mentioned principles and work sites, right? Segmented. Organisations score for each of our 10 human rights principles. So I'm going back to the last slide and I'm like, hold on, where do you talk about the 10 human rights principles? I'm not seeing it. It's not there. So suddenly I'm like, oh, you've got 10 human rights principles. So you've taken me on another leap forward without taking me through the journey. I don't know what you're talking about. Summary, degree of organisation compliance, with each of the three processes. And I'm guessing, okay, maybe the 3 processes are on this slide, but I'm not sure. And then you get actionable guidance. Immediately see where you face your biggest challenges. Well, that's interesting. But then they've got this, and I'm starting to think, now remember, I'm not standing up in people in front of people, talking them through this slide deck. Now, if I was, I'm looking there, I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. There's 10. Oh, maybe those are the 10 principles. No forced labour of human trafficking. Maybe that should be no forced labour or human trafficking, because no forced labour of human trafficking doesn't make sense to me. So you've got me with another sentence that I don't understand. It's 69%. So no forced labour or human trafficking is 69%. What does the 69% mean? Does it mean I'm 69% of the way there? I do have forced labour and human trafficking in 31% of my business. Maybe. Okay. But remember, I'm a funder. So you're trying to show me how the system works, but you're speaking to me as if I'm one of the businesses who should be implementing this. Again, we've got confused audience on our slide deck. No child labour, 90%. That's probably a good score. No discrimination. Okay, so maybe these are the 10 principles, but there's arrows going those 2 different ways. I don't know. I don't know what's under here. I'm not going to go now slide by slide. We're just going to quickly move to the end here. But human rights integrated into business. There's all these colours. Integrate human rights compliance directly into where businesses meet stakeholders. CRMs, I don't know what that means. Stock exchanges, New York Stock Exchange Connect. What have they got to do with it? E-procurement, sustainability, analytics, company reputation, does that mean? Glassdoor. Yeah, maybe. I don't really know what that means. Compliance, we take human source data seriously. Okay, well, that's good. Don't know really what that means. ISO 27001 compliant, encrypted. Okay, interesting. Don't know. And what does our Made in Freedom mark mean for you? So again, I'm back to this confounded idea about who this slide's deck for. So what does it mean for you? Me as the business who you want to be implementing it, or me as the foundation or the philanthropist or the investor who's going to give you money for it? A little something for everyone, it says. Actual S in your ESG. I don't know. Products made from freedom on your products made in freedom on your shelves. I'm an investor. I don't have shelves. What does that mean? I've got no idea. A membership model. Oh, you've got a membership model. First I've heard of it. What's that about? And we've got a whole thing there. I'm not even reading them at this stage. You've lost me completely. I mean, I doubt that an investor would look at this, but they would get someone to look at it for them. This is in the bin around slide 7. So we wouldn't have got this far. But now we're getting to the pitch. We're getting to the ask. Where are we? We have developed the first and only, in capital letters, please don't yell at me, Universal International Human Rights Law Taxonomy. I don't really know what that means. Too many big words. I'm a busy person. I'm a bit thick, For workplaces built around 10 principles. The 10 principles. Okay, we're getting it now. From these principles, we derive standards, then indicators, and then questions to be asked of staff. Our 3 core processes, see slide solutions. Where is the slide about solutions? I didn't see a slide about solutions. Hold on a minute. There's no slide about solutions. What are you talking about? I don't know. I don't know what you're talking about. There's no slide about solutions. I can't. What I'll get here. The solution is slave-free trade, Libertax. Is that the one you mean? I don't know. A prototype for our platform, dashboards in UX, UI design. I don't really know what that means. And set to be developed by a tech staff. Oh, to be developed. So it's not up and running yet. But hold on, this slide back here, you talked about, you had the solution. You had the solution to the slave problem. But it's to be developed. And this is when, if I've got to this point, you've completely lost me. Because I really start to believe that you've told me a lot of BS. Because I understood that this was up and running, that this was going, this was action. Because you told me that. And now it's to be developed. So straight away, I'm really slamming the computer down. Because I'm confused, I'm lost, I'm bedazzled by all of your pictures, by your text that I don't actually understand. 2 mobile apps, staff and campaigning, are now in design and ready for development in the coming 2 to 3 months. where to. Right now, our go-to market at MVP launch depends on the financial and human resources available to develop our complex tech platform. The complexity of our platform stems from the operational, I don't know. With proper resourcing, developing a robust, scalable MVP, I think that's minimum viable product, would take around 6 months. On current volunteer resourcing, this development could take up to 18 months. Okay, what we need from you. Okay, we are in development. I hadn't understood that. We need partnership. Hadn't really understood that either. You need helping hands. Now, and then I'm saying minimum fundraising target, $500,000 in 6 months, $2 million in a year. That's a lot of money. That is a lot of money. And you have not convinced me why I should give that to you. And one of the concerns I have here when I saw this slide was we need helping hands. So many entrepreneurs go to investors, be they non-profits or businesses, and ask for help. You are one of 10,000, 20,000, 100,000 people who ask these investors for help all the time. And you're just in line with everyone else. Here's a different approach. You need to offer them an opportunity. You're not asking them to help you. You're offering them an opportunity to do something incredible, something inspiring. And depending on who they are, if they're investors who are looking for a return on their investment, you've got to convince them of that as well. And down the bottom here, it says ROI ? A bottom line you could be proud of. Again, I'm thinking you're talking to a company who should be implementing your system. And for a lot of companies, pride ain't going to do it. They want to see the financial returns. They want numbers. Like, so if I invest in your program, what am I going to get? Now, some people want to do it because they want to do the right thing. Not many. Not many, right? People want a return on investment. Foundations, it's more in the sphere of foundations and non-profits, where they will find people who want to invest to have an impact. Yes, and increasingly we're getting impact investors. But those impact investors want a return on their investment too. They may be prepared to take a few percentage points lower, but they want a return on their investment. And this presentation is just offering a bottom line you can be proud of. It's not going to do it for me. $500,000 over 6 months, that's a lot of money. How are you going to deploy that? $2 million over a year. How are you going to deploy that? What are you going to produce as a result? Because it's not clear to me. You've got some slide with vast amounts of words. I don't really know what you're doing. And you're asking for help. So at this point, you should have, by this point in the presentation, we're up to slide 15, there's 18 slides. You should have absolutely blown me out of the water with the scale and the dramatic nature of this problem. You should have blown me out of the water with who you are. And why should I, as a potential investor, be giving you money instead of that person over there, instead of that organisation over there? Why you? And instead you're coming to me like this. Could you give me some money? You're begging me to give you money, and a lot of money. So this is game over, right? This is ridiculous. I love these people. And finally on slide 16, I get a slide about us. You just asked me for $2 million over a year. And you're giving me one little slide with 3 dot points about us. And you're a non-profit, a Swiss non-profit membership association. You tell me our governance structure includes a General Assembly, Executive Committee and International Advisory Board. You're founded in the Canton of Geneva, non-profit tax exempt status. I'm sorry, you're just not doing it for me. Right? Like if I'm going to give you $500,000, I want to know how you're going to spend it. What are your mechanisms for accountability for that money? Right? And you want $2 million in a year. I mean, you're dreaming. And it's okay because you're founded in the Canton in Geneva that I should just give you that money because the Swiss are all good folk. I love the Swiss. They're great people. But like, you know, there's a lot of things happen in every country that I just want to know accountability. What are your systems? What are your accounting systems? What money have you received in the past? What grants have you received in the past that should give me confidence that if I give you this money, you're going to manage it well? There's nothing here about that. You've got a map here about your team, diversity plus purpose plus intellect, 40 people, 1 patron, 10 advisory board, 20 nationalities, greater than 60% women. Cool. What's your accountability set? How are you going to manage this money? You've got 20 nationalities and 60 women, greater than 60% women. That's great. Are they the ones doing the accountability for the $2 million that I'm going to give you over a year? And then finally, we get the last slide, freedom through transparency, with a woman there holding some fruit. Freedom through transparency. I don't understand that. How do we get to freedom through transparency? So you've taken me on a journey where we've gone this way, that way. Sometimes I've felt that I'm the wrong person to be on the journey with you. You're actually talking to someone else. And then when you've taken me down some dark alley, you've asked me for a large amount of money. You've not told me how you're going to spend it. You haven't told me how you're going to be accountable with it. And then at the end, you're talking to me about transparency. I'm like, okay.